The year is 1907. Europe has known decades of peace, and Britain, France, and Russia have just solidified an alliance, making them one of the biggest military alliances on Earth, rivaled only by a neighbouring military alliance of Germany, Austria-Hungary, and Italy. Everyone agrees that a conflict between two military alliances of this size would be absolutely catastrophic, and so they act as a mutual deterrent. Sure, Britain and Germany seem to be in a bit of a naval arms race, but hey, what's wrong with some friendly competition? Europe has been peaceful for decades, and with this new deterrent, will be peaceful for decades more. Austria-Hungary annexes Bosnia-Herzegovina. This angers Serbia, who are politically backed by Russia. The Balkans now become Europe's most unstable region. Several Balkan states have just beaten the Ottoman Empire. This grows the strength of Serbia and begins to scare Austria. While visiting Sarajevo, Franz Ferdinand, Archduke and heir apparent to the throne of Austria-Hungary, and his wife Sophie are assassinated by a man named Gavrilo Princip. Princip belonging to a conspiracy group that was funded by the Serbian secret society known as the Black Hand. Austria, outraged by the death of their royal, seeks to punish Serbia. They ask Germany to support them in doing this, and Germany says that they will support Austria with almost no limitations, bolstering Austria's confidence and removing all need to compromise. Austria sends Serbia an ultimatum, and gives them 48 hours to respond. The ultimatum contains 10 demands. Among these, demand to suppress all publications that may incite hatred against Austria-Hungary, demand to allow Austrian investigators to act unimpeded inside Serbia, and demand for Austrian judicial authorities to act in finding those who were responsible. Serbia responds by accepting 8 of the 10 demands. It agrees to seek out and punish conspirators involved in the assassination, accepts international arbitration for other disputed issues, and even accepts to censor any publications that may be seen as anti-Austria-Hungary, only objecting to allowing the foreign officials of Austria exercising authority within Serbia. Kaiser Wilhelm II, the last emperor of Germany, saw their response and thought it was acceptable, stating that every reason for war falls to the ground. Despite major concessions from Serbia, Austria rejects them. British Foreign Secretary Sir Edward Grey sought to remind everyone that war in Europe could be absolutely devastating, and proposed an international peace conference of Britain, France, Germany and Italy to see if everyone could maybe rein in their allies a bit and to negotiate before armies could mobilise. Germany declines to support the conference. Austria declares war on Serbia. Russia mobilises to defend Serbia. Germany demands that Russia stop mobilising. Russia doesn't listen, thinking that a cancellation would leave them militarily exposed. Germany declares war on Russia. Germany declares war on France. Germany invades Belgium. Britain declares war on Germany. In a spiral of less than 3 months, the checks and balances fell apart, the honour system failed, and the deterrents collapsed in on each other. A month later, the First Battle of Marne would begin. It took place over 7 days. Over 500,000 men were killed. Over the next 4 years, this war would go on to cause the deaths of millions, granting it the name the Great War. Tragically, this devastating and avoidable conflict would eventually gain another name: World War I, almost downplaying it as just another bloody chapter in human history. Both sides wanted this war to end quickly, but the war machine had started and no one knew how to stop it. For 4 years, the fighting didn't stop. Fundog Studios' The Forever Winter is a game about war. Endless war. Every inch of the world's surface is covered by it. The metropolises, the major cities and hubs of the world have been reduced to rubble. And unlike the last section of this video, there is no accurate timeline of events that tells us exactly how the world got this way. The historical markers, the leaders of the factions, the people that started this war, even the date of the conflict, have all been eliminated. No one knows why the war started or even the current date. The major AIs of each faction that were tasked with printing machines and recruiting soldiers kept going even after the nukes went off. There was no break, no mourning period, no breaths caught. The war machines started and everyone who knew how to turn them off is long gone, as is anyone who remembers life without them, and so the fighting never stops. Humanity is twisting in various ways to adapt to this new world. Some, like Europa, clinging to the past, using equipment and tactics straight out of the 21st century. Some, like Eurasia, abandoning their humanity and stuffing their fallen and poor into mechanical zombie terminators, carelessly dropping them into the front line and having them rush recklessly at the enemy as shock troopers. Then there is Eruska, a people who worship their machines of war, see their mechs as gods. And as the humans twist, so too do their machines, going from traditional tanks and choppers to twisted nightmares that could only ever exist in a world like this, and the world is twisting to accommodate them. And the worst part is that for all these monstrous factions, you belong to none of them. You are not the hero of this story, you are a survivor, a scavenger, who walks in the trenches begging not to be seen by the warring factions above, get too comfortable, walk or run without crouching for too long, and those same factions may just turn their scopes on you. It is a game of constant anxiety. You wade through the scraps and the literal mountains of corpses looking for any water or supplies that can get you and your settlement through one more day. And you can spend your time at your settlement, play music, set up a projector of a live feed of the surface, pray to the machine gods. If you're very lucky, they won't answer. But no matter what you do, no matter what few pleasures of this life you choose to indulge in, eventually water is going to run low and you are going to have to go back out there. And I would like to draw attention to what out there looks like, what makes this world so terrible. Not just the rubble, the bullets, or the death, but also what humanity loses in a world like this. Losing our date means losing our understanding of the world, the stars, even losing our history and our understanding of what it means to be human. I'd like to show you this character. He's a high-value European soldier that you can get a mission to take out, but look at what he's wearing. He's donning what me and you would recognize as an American flag, but this guy doesn't know what this flag is. America wasn't a nation when the war started. It's human history that has been erased. Its flag being worn as a hood for no other reason than it looks cool, and to me there's something haunting about that. That the world we live in today could be so mutilated by us and our creations, our fighting, that common symbols that are deep in the human zeitgeist could become strangers to us, that we wouldn't even care, reduced to panicking animals that only ever see choice in what would be best for seeing tomorrow. I remember one such mission where I was walking through dark tunnels that were very difficult to navigate in the dim light, and finally stumbling upon a flashlight attachment for my rig and praising the machine gods for the find, only to see a jug of that ever-precious and scarce water right next to it. Having a low-level rig, I only had room for one of the two. Do I choose an easier path to traverse the tunnels and make it out safer, but return to my underground settlement empty-handed, or do I take the water for a chance at my settlement doing better but potentially die on the way home, preyed on by a squad of soldiers or a monster that I otherwise would have seen? And the funny thing is, if you get equipped well enough, you can take down the squads of soldiers and the monsters. You can bring down the drones and even the seemingly unstoppable mechanical nightmares. But all that does is draw attention. The faction that the squad belong to is going to wonder why they aren't picking up and come investigate. The monsters are going to smell the blood you spilled and just keep coming. There is a reason there are no great action heroes in this world. It doesn't matter how big you get. This isn't your story to end. The war machine has grown so much bigger than you, and the fighting never stops. The year is 1961.
Good evening, my fellow Americans.
Almost 20 years after the end of World War II, and President Eisenhower is writing his farewell address. In it, he writes of a looming shadow on the horizon, a consequence of war as the world has engaged with it. And to those unfamiliar with American presidents, this man was no pacifist. Eisenhower was a decorated 5-star general in World War II. He states, "A vital element in keeping the peace is our military establishment. Our arms must be mighty, ready for instant action, so that no potential aggressor may be tempted to risk his own destruction." So, what could he be worried about when the US had such a large and powerful military? Turns out, it was not another world war on the caliber of the last two, but those who would profit off of them. In the address, he continues to state, "Until the latest of our world conflicts, the United States had no armaments industry. American makers of plowshares could, with time and as required, make swords as well. But now we can no longer risk emergency improvisation of national defense. We have been compelled to create a permanent armaments industry of vast proportions. This conjunction of an immense military establishment and a large arms industry is the new American experience. Yet we must not fail to comprehend its grave implications. In the councils of government, we must guard against the acquisition of unwarranted influence, whether sought or unsought, by the military-industrial complex. The potential for the disastrous rise of misplaced power exists and will persist." The military-industrial complex. After 2 massive wars and a boom in industry, a huge demand for cutting-edge military technology and a massive profit to be made from it, the brave new capitalist world had a financial incentive for war.
Welcome to the future. Here at General Electric, we have all you need to stay in convenience and in style. Need laundry done lickety-split? We at General Electric have every kind of washer you could need. Front-load washers, top-load washers, stackable washers, washer-dryer combos. Want to cook a decent meal? We do cooktops, wall ovens, microwaves, and everything you could possibly need to build the kitchen of tomorrow. Or perhaps your ideas are a bit more ambitious. Want to stick it to the commies, destabilize the Middle East? Well then, we at General Electric have got the perfect thing for you. Introducing the General Electric M134 minigun, capable of firing NATO-approved 7.62 ammunition at a whopping 6,000 rounds per minute at an effective range of 1,000 meters. Even more if you're aiming down. Wow, that's necessary. Get yours for the low price of $999.99. But hey, don't let your ambition stop there. We at General Electric have also made neutron generators, thermal batteries, and vacuum switch tubes that can and
allegedly
have been used in the process of building nuclear bombs. General Electric, let's microwave this Cold War.
Bungie's Marathon is a game set in our distant future, where corporations and the interstellar government hold near equal power. 100 years prior to the game's events, some colonists were sent on something called the Marathon expedition, and something happened. The initial colonists went missing, and the government, the UESC, issued a quarantine of the entire planet. But the corporations smelled opportunity. There's a planet down there with mystery, new resources, and data. Not just on the planet, but information on what happened to the colonists? Well, someone's got to sell it back to their families. And these corporate entities are far removed from what we understand about corporations today. AI ruling over them, presenting themselves as digital gods with full control over different facets of life, each contracting you, a runner, to go down to the quarantine planet and recover what they need to further whatever agenda they may have. See, in this world, everything is a product. Runners who are broke can use sponsored kits. Similar to Apple products, they cannot be tampered with or added to in any way before takeoff. Your success in these missions will be done with a company's logo, and you will fight government officials, alien ticks, and even other runners to fulfill your contracts and extract with any materials or information that may have a decent price tag. And should you fail, should a runner die on the planet's surface, that's fine. The runners sent down there are wearing shells, artificial bodies designed for combat and cheap disposal. See, even you are a product. And the products of this world are inherently malicious to the point of comedy. Upon scavenging the abandoned colonies, you can find things like this empty energy drink can.
The slogan is still legible. Never dream with never sleep.
Or this painkiller,
The slogan is still legible. Never hurt with Neurohold.
which has quite sinister implications if you think about it. Corporations even give contracts asking runners to receive damage or experience pain for data on the shells. Some ask them to simply hunt and kill other runners or die trying for the sake of gathering data and becoming better warriors. After all, no runner truly dies. But with all of this acknowledged, there is something off about Tau Ceti 4. Physics-defying anomalies, whispers in the dark, illnesses that make no sense, even artificial intelligence breaking its own logic and discovering fear in the face of an existential threat.
Glorious?
Access denied. Access
Hey, it's
denied.
okay. It's just me.
You're not alone. I hear it. It waits. Lingers. Loathes. Access granted. Welcome to the Seed Vault, Dr. Song. Dr. Song, may I help you with anything else?
Darius, give me a summary of our previous discussion.
Yesterday, you expressed interest in genetic markers of the novel contagion affecting food production on Tau Ceti 4. You asked me to run genomic comparisons with Earth's native Seed Vault specimens.
No, not that. Just now you mentioned something else. Something that lingers.
I have no record of this topic. Do you need psychiatric assistance, Dr.
No,
Song?
I'm fine. It's fine.
The colonists use support AI as a safety net. Minds immune to biological stressors. However, the agricultural AI's metadata shows signs of major cognitive decline. Puzzling. Artificial intelligence does not eat, so it does not starve. It does not compete with humans for resources, so it should not display aggression. It should not fear. And yet it was afraid.
Something is looming on Tau Ceti 4. Something that's been there for a long time, and it does not like company. And the thing is, all of these godlike digital entities have the knowledge and the resources that, if they did all band together, they could find out what happened to the colonists in a day and prepare for whatever malicious cosmic force they have angered by entering Tau Ceti 4. But they aren't going to do that, because there is a financial incentive to be better than the competition, to reach the completion of their own desired agenda first. And in a world where everything is a product, combat is profit, and death is not the end, the fighting never stops. But products and weapons have no place in war if you do not have people to wield them and people to use them on. Propaganda has always been an effective tool in the recruitment of the young for war, whether it's justified or not. One of my favourites is this poster, used in America during World War I, of an ape monster wielding a bloody club, holding Lady Liberty in its bloodied hands as he washes up on the shore of America, a destroyed Europe behind him, the message, "Destroy this mad brute! Enlist!" printed in big, bold text. The brute in question wearing a German military hat and having a little German moustache. And looking at this poster and imagining yourself in the shoes of a young man in the mid-1910s and thinking, "Hey, you put that young lady down, see? I'm going to rifle up and go show those Krauts what for." I don't know what people spoke like in the 1910s. But propaganda can come in all forms, Britain media included. In 1915, less than a year after the war had started and after millions had already died, Jessie Pope wrote the poem Who's for the Game?, a piece romanticising war as an exciting, heroic sports match, rather than the hell on earth it was proving to be. Her poem reads, "Who's for the game? The biggest game that's played. The red-crushing game of a fight. Who'll grip and tackle the job unafraid, and who thinks he'd rather sit tight? Who'll toe the line for the signal to go? Who'll give his country a hand? Who wants a turn to himself in the show? And who wants a seat in the stand? Who knows it won't be a picnic? Not much, yet eagerly shoulders a gun. Who would much rather come back with a crutch than lie low and be out of the fun? Come along, lads, but you'll come on all right, for there's only one course to pursue. Your country is up to her neck in a fight, and she's looking and calling for you." It's disgusting that this was used as a propaganda piece. Who would rather come back with a crutch written after millions haven't come back at all? Fortunately, I am not the only one who found this disgusting. In fact, a former soldier who had just come back suffering from what was then called shell shock, a man named Wilfred Owen, responded with a poem of his own, Dulce et decorum est. The first draft of the poem was actually dedicated and addressed directly to Pope, but later amended the address to a certain poetress, and later removed the address entirely. Some think this was to address a larger audience of propagandists and war supporters in general, such as the White Feather movement, a movement of women who would hand men white feathers and call them cowards for having the audacity to not go and die in a pointless war. The title, Dulce et decorum est, is Latin for "it is sweet and fitting to die for one's homeland," an old Roman phrase, a phrase that matches the zest of all the pro-war propaganda, a phrase that the poem is critical of. In the poem, Owen describes a gas attack where he just managed to get his mask on in time, but a fellow soldier wasn't so lucky. Dim through the misty panes and thick green light, as under a green sea I saw him drowning. In all my dreams, before my helpless sight, he plunges at me, guttering, choking, drowning. Going on to say that if Pope or people like her could see this in her dreams, see the wagon they flung his body in, the grotesque state the body was left in, my friend, you would not tell with such high zest to children ardent for some desperate glory the old lie, dulce et decorum est, pro patria mori. I wish I could say that this scathing critique of the propaganda and pro-war machine was enough to damage it significantly, and while this poem was remembered and is still taught in British schools today, the propaganda machine continued to churn ever onward, continuing to feed the military-industrial complex. After 9/11, the US government significantly expanded spending on military recruitment, strategic communications, public diplomacy and information campaigns, as well as increasing the prominence of patriotic messaging. If that is all too much of a mouthful for you, the US increased spending on propaganda by a fuck ton, developing tons of TV ads, promotional posters, passing the No Child Left Behind Act, which allowed the US military to have the same access to students as potential colleges. Hell, they even developed a video game. Yes, the US Army developed a video game called America's Army in 2002. They released it for free and it later became a franchise. All this to paint American soldiers as heroes in the eyes of the public. Never mind the fact that all the Middle Eastern conflicts did was destabilize the Middle East, kill and wound almost 40,000 US servicemen, kill hundreds of thousands of Iraqi civilians, 500,000 if you count deaths caused by effects the war had on infrastructure and disease spread, and cost trillions of dollars. The American military and its personnel were seen as heroes, despite the fact that the central justification for the invasion of Iraq, the presence of weapons of mass destruction, was disproven. And even still, the ads, the merch, the toys, all of it still continued to get churned out, to be advertised, to be sold as an idea to the public. The perfect plastic heroes for you to model your kids after. Arrowhead Studios' Helldivers 2 is a game about propaganda. I mean, it's a game about a lot of things. Fascism, the military-industrial complex, but mostly it's about propaganda. See, even when you load up the game, there is a very over-the-top propaganda video that quite subtly declares that failure to watch will be punished before showing you the glories of becoming a Helldiver. All the things you'll see, the perks you'll get. All this before dropping you into a tutorial which opens up with a list of statistics about the initiation of each Helldiver, how they average out at the age of 18, how their combat readiness is usually only about 27.1%. But don't worry though, because these young Helldiver recruits have an average patriotism rating of 97.4%. Their expected survival rate is 21.3%. This is all within quota. Before you can process these numbers, you cut to a cutscene of another recruit telling you how great it is that you're becoming Helldivers, how it's
every kid's dream.
You are then dropped off at the training grounds, where the first thing you see is yet another propaganda billboard. Welcome to Helldiver training. Earn your cape. You use your map to find your way to the facility that is just around the corner, and you are greeted by an automated voice of a mascot character called General Brash, a fictional hero of Super Earth designed to push propaganda. Not that anyone in universe knows that. To your Helldiver, this really is one of Earth's most sacred and great heroes, which is why you can imagine it would be so effective when he immediately starts playing up the ego of your Helldiver.
I'm General Brash, Super Earth's oldest and most grizzled war hero, and I'm not easy to impress. Helldiver training is the toughest test in the galaxy, but I can tell that doesn't scare you. Impressive. Now, enough jib-jab. The upcoming obstacles will take everything your exceptional physique can muster.
From here is training that is honestly so easy that even I could do most of it, like in real life, and I'm super out of shape. Though I think this is deliberate, because after every single accomplished task, the voice of Brash continues to stroke your ego.
In all my years, I've never witnessed such acrobatic perfection. Impeccable. Like I always say, the best simulation is a real simulation. Jedi precision. Now, use a grenade to close up that bug hole. Otherwise, they'll just keep coming.
Fire in the hole.
There is even a section in the training where you are forced to acknowledge that death is a possibility among Helldivers, quickly convincing your young recruit to accept that their squad mates will die all the time, and rewarding them for being a sociopath.
Next lesson. Helldivers fight in squads. Meet your new squad mate.
Greetings, fellow Helldiver.
What a fine soldier. Your brother in arms. A battle-forged bond that could never be replaced. Until now. Here's your real lesson, soldier. Squad mates can and will perish tragically all the time.
Greetings, fellow Helldiver.
Well done, soldier. It takes uncommon resolve to move past the death of your ally.
Oh yes, death can happen, but not to you, Helldiver. Never to you. Once training is complete and you have proven that you can survive in a controlled environment against some low-level bugs, you are led to receive your signature Helldiver cape. A marking on the floor stating that only heroes can pass this point. Before you are led to your cape, fireworks and music play, and you are congratulated by Brash for being the most unique and awesome recruit to ever come through.
Step up to the platform, recruit. You've earned it. Now there's a Helldiver. You remind me of a younger me. Fearless and vulnerable and 7 feet tall. You're finally ready for the realest deal of them all. The Galactic War. Liberty. Democracy. Justice. They're in your hands now. General Brash, over and out.
It's tragic to think that your Helldiver believes all of this, that this is the biggest day of their life, that they are taking every word of Brash to heart. And it's all pre-recorded. Brash isn't real. These same lines are played for every single Helldiver recruit that makes it through basic training. You get on a rocket with a ton of other Helldivers in stasis. You don't hear the radio refer to you all as cargo as you are sent off to your very own super destroyer. Whenever your Helldiver first enters conflict, they will say a cheesy line that they have probably heard on TV or through video games their entire life. Only for those lines to get progressively more desperate and lose composure as they realise that they are, in fact, going to die. And die they will. The recruit you played through training with, that had the best day of his life, is almost guaranteed to die not long into your first mission. In this world, Valor is sold. Literally one of the biggest forms of currency in this game is war medals, as in the things you get for putting your arse on the line and completing missions. One of the non-diegetic ways this game effectively conveys how propaganda-wrapped this experience is in its music. It's these big, epic, triumphant scores that I'm not sure I can play without getting copyrighted, but watch what happens when you turn the music off. Suddenly, these scenes aren't triumphant action scenes, but merely scenes of struggle. There is no after-story for Helldivers. You never hear about Helldivers going home, you never hear about them visiting their families or getting time off. That's because most of them die within their first couple of missions. There is no story of common life under the Super-Earth regime. Nothing beyond the peaks you may get via missions, news reports, and commercials. No, there is only propaganda. Only the forever narrative of the war and the missions it sends you on. Part of the galaxy may be being torn away from existence, but High Command still wants you to kill hundreds of millions of Terminids and to secure the space oil they develop when they decompose. And you'll do it, because you want that sweet, sweet currency and that sweet, sweet approval, those war medals, so that you can get all the extra weapons and armor that make you just like the state-approved action figures you played with when you were a kid. A true Helldiver. Down to your last breath. The Galactic War will continue, because in a world of endless propaganda, in a world where war is a constant backdrop, the fighting never stops. For the last piece of media, we're going to be switching up the format a bit. Not a video game, but a short story, and its comic adaptation. Ray Bradbury's There Will Come Soft Rains is a story about a house, an automated house of the future. The story begins with the automated house sounding the morning alarm. In the living room, the voice clock sang.
Tick-tock, 7 o'clock, time to get up, 7 o'clock.
As if it were afraid that nobody would. The house automatically prepares breakfast for its residents while reciting the day's date and all the things that make it more memorable.
Today is Mr. Featherstone's birthday. Today is the anniversary of Tilta's marriage. Insurance is payable, as are the water, gas, and light bills.
After enough time for the residents to eat breakfast comes the other alarm.
8-1, tick-tock, 8-1, o'clock, off to school, off to work, run, 8-1.
But no doors slammed. No carpets took the soft tread of rubber heels. It was raining outside. The weather box on the front door sang quietly.
Rain, rain, go away, umbrellas, raincoats for today.
And the rain tapped on the empty house, echoing. Outside, the garage chimed and lifted its door to reveal the waiting car. After a long wait, the door swung down again. If it wasn't obvious, the house is empty. No one eats the breakfast it prepared. The house cleans the stale food off the table and begins to clean the rest of itself. But there is no one to clean it for. The house stands alone amongst a city of rubble and ash. The only house left standing. On the house's side, it is completely burned black, save for 5 places. Here, the silhouette of a man mowing a lawn. Here, as in a photograph, a woman bent over to pick flowers. Still farther over, their images burned on wood in one titanic instant. A small boy, hands flung into the air. Higher up, the image of a thrown ball. The opposite to him, a girl, hands raised to catch the ball, which would never come down. This is a world where the fighting never stopped. Until it did. Until there was no one left to lie to or propagandize. No one or nothing left to make a profit off of. No cogs left in the machines of war. The house goes about its routine every day, playing a nursery display for children that will not sleep under it, reciting a poem for a woman who will not hear it, lighting a cigar for a man who will not smoke it. It's that last thing that causes the end of the house. A fire is started, and the house, not understanding the post-apocalyptic world it's in, has used up all of its water doing dishes and sprinkling the garden. The house collapses, unable to defend itself, and possibly the last vestige of human culture and civilization falls with no one around to mourn it. Save for one wall. Come the morning, the last speaker in the last wall, among the smoke and ruins, speaks the date.
Today is August 5th, 2026. Today is August 5th, 2026. Today is
Well now, that was a bummer, and I'm not done yet. For this final segment, I want to go over a quote by Richard P. Feynman, a theoretical physicist who worked on the Manhattan Project and saw the bombing of Hiroshima. I want you to bear in mind that while most people alive today have existed with the threat of nuclear war, at least somewhere in the background of their lives, this man had seen its creation, seen what had happened to Hiroshima, saw confirmation that for the first time in history, humanity now had the power to wipe out entire cities in the blink of an eye. When he returned to New York, he sat in a cafe and he looked out at the street. All he could think about was the radius of the damage caused by the Hiroshima bomb. How far from here was 34th Street? All those buildings smashed, he thought. As he would go along the streets of New York City, he would see people building a bridge or constructing a new road and think, they're crazy. They just don't understand. They don't understand. Why are they making new things? It's so useless. After seeing humanity finally reach the point where it could utterly destroy itself in a single evening, I should think that Feynman was envisioning a world where the fighting didn't stop. Envisioning a world that saw the natural conclusion of the path he had just contributed to. If I existed back when the atom bomb was first made and I knew of its existence, I too would have a voice in my head that asked, what's the point? How long till we blow ourselves up? I would be certain that the next conflict would spell the end of humanity, but I don't exist back then. I exist now, and instead that dark voice in my mind asks, what if the fighting never stops? But the thing is, that's not where this quote ends. Feynman continues to say, fortunately it's been useless for almost 40 years now, hasn't it? So I've been wrong about it being useless, making bridges, and I'm glad those other people had the sense to go ahead. And Feynman said that 40 years ago. It's been 80 years since the creation of the atom bomb. A good lifetime since its use. 80 years of good food, of shy glances, of laughter between kisses. 80 years of life. We are better than our worst expectations. Because in spite of the things I've shown you today, the works of fiction that show dark reflections of what would happen if our worst conflicts and biggest threats of the modern world went on unchallenged and uninterrupted for extended periods of time, the fights that inspired those stories did stop, and our worst predictions of the future have not come to pass. And while yes, there is conflict in the world right now, and ideological darkness that threatens us beyond even the things I've covered in this video, we're not down yet. And in many times in our long and bumpy history, that has been enough.
I only wish that Franklin D. Roosevelt had lived to witness this day. General Eisenhower informs me that the forces of Germany have surrendered to the United Nations. The flags of freedom fly all over Europe.
This video is set to upload on August 5th, 2026, and if you're around to watch it, then we aren't as doomed as our worst predictions would have us believe. And if that's the case, maybe we can ask other questions. Instead of asking, what if the fighting never stops? Why don't we ask, how do we get to a world where it does? Thank you for watching.